You know, I never took these things seriously. Until one day, someone very close to me fell into a trap from which he never really recovered. There are things in this world that we do not see, but which act, which hurt, which destroy homes, which extinguish hearts, which ruin souls. And sometimes it all starts with a simple question, a seemingly trivial question, asked in a whisper with a reassuring smile. But behind this question lies a trap, a pact, a dark intention, masked by promises. I'm not saying this to scare people. I say this because it exists, because the Qur'an talks about it, because the Prophet warned us, because even today, people suffer in silence, without knowing that their pain is not only psychological or physical, but also spiritual. And they learned what harms them and does not benefit them. Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 102. You may have heard of those people we consult when things go wrong. They claim to help, heal, and solve problems in love, work, and family. But what they really do is open doors that Allah has commanded us to keep closed. I will tell you today scary questions that these witches, or those who work with the jinns, pose before casting a spell. And if you recognize any of them, then listen carefully, because you could save your faith, your family, or your future. Because witchcraft is not folkloric, because it exists, because it acts, and because the only refuge, it is Allah, the protector, Al-Hafiz, the supreme defender. So sit down, open your heart, open your mind, and above all, share this video with someone who might unknowingly be in danger. What is your full name and your mother's? You know what made my blood run cold the first time I heard that question? That's not the question itself. It's the innocence with which it is posed. Calm, collected, as if you were being asked for your favorite dish or your email address. And yet, that's when the trap closes. One day, a sister confided her story to me. She had tensions in her relationship, arguments that came out of nowhere, hurtful words, misunderstandings, constant fatigue. She ended up consulting a woman recommended to her. Not an official psychic, no. A so-called spiritual healer. And you know what his first question was? Tell me your full name and your mother's. At that moment, the sister didn't flinch. She answered without thinking. A few days later, the healer gave him a small black cloth bag with inside a rolled-up piece of paper, knotted threads, and strange herbs. She said to him, "Keep this under your pillow. You'll sleep better. Your husband will change." What she didn't know was that she had just opened a spiritual door. She had just authorized, without knowing it, a jinn to enter his privacy, to upset her home, to haunt her in her dreams. And very quickly, everything got worse. She started having nightmares every night. Her husband moved away even further. She began to hear voices during prayer, until a Raki told him clearly, "You were a victim of Sihr, and this Sihr was done with your name and your mother's name." When I heard this, I thought of a verse I had read often, but had never really felt in my flesh. And they learned from these two angels how they separate a man from his wife. Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 102. That's when I understood. Ask for the mother's name, it is not innocent. In the occult world, it is a code, a direct access to your energy, to your spiritual file. Because in the universe of the jinns, we don't identify you by your name and your father's name, as in our Sharia, but by your full name and your mother's. This is what they track you with, what they target you with, what they work with. And what's even more frightening is that many people don't know this. They give this information lightly to people they don't know, believing that they will be treated, relieved, cured. While in reality, we are in the process to invite evil in. This is why I tell you, and I repeat it to you with my heart. If someone ever asks you your name and your mother's name to help you sleep better or protect your relationship, run and seek refuge in Allah. Because it's not about healing, it's about manipulation. And I beg you, don't let anyone access your name and your mother's name in this context. This isn't a trivial question. It's a key. And that key opens either a light or an abyss. And you, tell me in the comments, have you ever heard this question asked in a spiritual or strange context? Have you known anyone this happened to? Your testimony could awaken another soul and protect it from an invisible trap. 2. Do you have any worn clothing or a photo of yourself? I'm going to tell you something I wish I had known much sooner. There is in this world seemingly banal objects, but in the wrong hands, they become curse portals. Clothes, hair, a printed photo, a handkerchief. You think they're just memories, leftovers, trash. But them, the wizards, the witches, know that these things contain your invisible imprint. And that's all they need. Do you want a concrete example? Listen to this true story. It comes from a brother living in Lagos, Nigeria. He was working in a company. One day, he started dating a colleague. Nothing very serious, a few discussions, a little flirting, as many do without thinking. But this woman had intentions he did not see. One day, he forgot his sports shirt in a corner of the office after a fitness session. She picks it up, silently. A few weeks later, he started losing sleep, waking up in a sweat. He feels dizzy. He hears his name whispered in the night. He becomes more and more distant, disconnected from everything. And guess what? He eventually learned from Araki that this shirt had been used in a submission ritual. She wanted him to fall in love with her at all costs. Do you know what that reminded me of? This verse from the Qur'an, once again, which comes back like a flash of truth. And they do not harm anyone except by Allah's permission, but they learn that which harms them. Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 102. This brother, Allah preserved him because he sought a solution in faith. But how many sink without understanding what is happening to them? And I am speaking to you today because I refuse to let it happen to you. Witchcraft is often thought of as something of old traditions. But no, it's today. It's here. And it often starts with an innocent request. Don't you have an item of your own? An item of clothing you no longer wear? A recent photo to better capture your energy? This is where you need to be alert. Because these objects, even without your consent, can be loaded, linked to entities, and used to manipulate you, exhaust you, steal what is most precious to you, your inner light. You understand why the Prophet taught us to protect our tracks, why he recommended us to pronounce the name of Allah over everything, even when we move, even when we undress. Because the invisible world observe, analyze, watch, and today, with social media, it's even worse. You post an innocent photo, and it falls into the wrong hands. A simple envious look, a hidden agenda, a cursed invocation, and everything changes. So listen to me carefully. Never leave personal clothing, worn accessories, or locks of hair lying around. And above all, Never give a photo of yourself to someone you don't know intimately, especially in a spiritual or mystical context. Tell me in the comments, has anyone ever asked you for a picture or an item of yours, and you thought it was weird? Have you ever been afraid that someone would use something of yours against you? Your testimony can awaken another conscience. 3. Have you had any strange dreams recently? I'm going to tell you something I've never said out loud. I happened to do a dream that haunted me for weeks. A dream so vivid, so disturbing, that even after waking up, I still felt a kind of coldness in my heart. And it was precisely after this dream that a person said to me with a calm voice, "You should come see a woman I know. She interprets dreams. She can help you understand what your subconscious is trying to tell you." But deep inside me, there was a kind of alarm. Because the way this person was insisting, it wasn't normal. She wanted to know the exact details of my dream. She asked strange questions. And at one point, she said to me, "Dreams, are the door. That's where we can work on your soul. If you want, I can help you with a little protection ritual." That's when I understood. It was no help. It was a disguised offer, an attempt to enter my inner world. And this dream, it had perhaps been sent not by Allah but by something else. You see, what few people know is that the jinns can influence our dreams. They can sow their fear, confusion, doubt, or even make us believe in signs that are not. And when someone comes to ask you about these dreams by claiming to be able to interpret them without science or piety, often he wants to open you. Not opening yourself to the truth, but open yourself spiritually. Make yourself vulnerable, making you believe that you were under someone's influence when you weren't, and then offer you a cure that is actually a spiritual poison. This is exactly what happened to a sister in Canada. She had recurring nightmares. She saw shadows, snakes or strange voices. A woman told him, "It's a sign that jinn are upon you, but don't worry, give me your name and let me prepare something." She made him drink charged water. She told him to sleep with stones under his pillow, and the next night, she was paralyzed. She couldn't move anymore. She felt a presence on her. It was only after a real ruqya that she understood that she had been targeted and opened by these practices. And it all started with a dream interpretation. The Prophet said, "A good dream is from Allah and a bad dream is from Shaytaan." Bukhari and Muslim. You see, it's very simple. A true dream from Allah doesn't leave you in anguish. It doesn't push you to consult a fortune teller. It pushes you to pray, to purify yourself. But when you have a nightmare or a strange dream, and someone takes the opportunity to take you on occult practices, know that you are being targeted. This is why, to you who are listening to me, I want to say, if you have disturbing dreams, do not go to someone who is not rooted in the Qur'an and the Sunnah. Rather, perform the morning and evening adhkar. Read Al-Baqarah. Purify your house. Trust in Allah. Tell me in the comments, have you ever had a strange dream that left a lasting impression on you? Have you been tempted to consult someone to interpret it? Share your experience because it can awaken other souls who are going through the same thing in silence. 4. Do you really want him, her to love you no matter what? You know, we often talk about Sihr as something distant, mystical, rare. But what shocked me the most was to discover that one of the most widespread forms of witchcraft today, it is the one that touches love. Not pure, sincere love, the one that Allah blesses. More forced love, the artificial desire, the destructive possessiveness. And it often starts with a simple question. Do you really want him, her to love you? No matter what it takes. I'm going to tell you a brutal truth. Many people say yes to this question, without understanding that this cost, it is their faith, their dignity, and sometimes even their mental health. I remember this brother in France, young, believing, but desperate. He had fallen in love with a girl who didn't want him. He tried everything: discussions, gifts, patience. Nothing worked. One day, an auntie from his neighborhood told him that she knew a powerful woman, a connector. She promises him, you'll see, she'll come back to you. She'll dream of you. She'll love you, even if she's with someone else. And the brother said yes. He paid a large sum. He gave his name, the girl's name, and a photo. And a few days later, sure enough, the girl came back, as if possessed. She called him, looked for him, cried for no reason. But it wasn't love. It was artificial submission. And very quickly things degenerated. Absurd arguments, depression, nightmares, anxiety attacks. The girl ended up hospitalized, and he, consumed by guilt, went to see Anima. It was there that he learned that he had been accomplice of a Sihr. When he told me this, I felt cold, and I thought of this powerful verse. They cause separation between a man and his wife, but they can harm no one except by Allah's permission. Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 102. Yes, sometimes it's to break up a couple, but sometimes it's to force one. And both are spiritual crimes. This kind of Sihr does not create love. It creates illusion, obsession, distraction. And the bewitched person loses his free will, his tranquility, his personality. It's an invisible form of slavery. So I want to say to you, who are listening to me, if you love someone and want them to love you back, don't betray Allah to satisfy your ego. Don't sacrifice your faith for someone who may not be right for you, because the love you take away by force will end up to snatch your peace. And above all, remember what the Prophet taught us. The hearts of the sons of Adam are between the two fingers of the Most Merciful. He turns them as He wills. Muslim. It is not a witch who can change the heart of a human being. It is only Allah. Tell me in the comments, have you ever heard of this type of witchcraft in your circle? Do you think some people might fall prey to it without even realizing it? Share your opinion, because this scourge is more present than we imagine. 5. Are you willing to do what it takes, even if it's forbidden? This question is different from the others. It is not always expressed with words. Sometimes she's silent, but she is in the intention, in the look, in the heavy atmosphere of a room where someone claims to want to help you. You come with a problem, a blockage, a pain, an illness that you don't understand. And in front of you, a person who says to you, do you want this to stop? Do you want things to change? Then you'll have to be ready for anything. And that's where you're tested. Not physically, but spiritually. What this person really wants to know is, how far are you willing to go to make it stop? Are you willing to disobey your Creator to find your peace? And if you say yes, even in your heart, you just gave in your will to something else than to Allah. There is a true story that has deeply affected me. She comes from Indonesia, in a very poor region. A woman was experiencing strange suffering, insomnia, screams in the night, unexplained illnesses. She ended up consulting a woman who was reputed to be very strong in spiritual healing. This woman told him, do you want to get out of this? Then go to the riverbank at midnight. Bury a black chicken alive. And do not say Bismillah under any circumstances. And the woman did it. She did not recite the name of Allah. She buried the beast weeping, but she wanted her pain to end. What she didn't know was that she had just signed a contract with invisible entities. And things got worse. Her house became uninhabitable. Her children started having seizures. And she ended up saying this sentence that broke me. I gave everything to find peace. And I lost everything. That's why I'm talking to you today, looking you in the eye. Because this question, are you willing to do what is necessary, even if it is forbidden? It is the trap of despair. Shaytaan knows him well. He lets you suffer until you're ready to accept anything, even to stray from the way of Allah. But listen to what the Qur'an says with stunning clarity. Whoever seeks a way other than Islam, it will never be accepted from him, and in the hereafter he will be among the losers. Surah Al-Imran, verse 85. So I beg you, if you are listening to me and you are going through a trial, don't let your pain keep you away from Allah. It is in your pain that you must hold on to it even tighter. Don't sell your soul for a promise of temporary relief. Because the price to pay, you don't know him, but they know him. And that price, often, is your light, your faith, your connection with the Lord of the worlds. Tell me in the comments, have you ever faced this inner dilemma? Did you feel like you were going too far to ease your pain? Speak without shame. It's never too late to get back up, and your story could save someone. Final conclusion, 1,000 characters. You see, what I shared with you today are not legends. These are not exaggerated stories. These are invisible realities, but very present. Traps that open under the feet of those who seek the solution elsewhere than in Allah. But if you are still here, if you are listening to these words, it is because it's not too late. For Allah never leaves you unprotected. He gave you weapons, the Qur'an, prayer, dhikr, surahs of protection such as Al-Falaq, An-Nas, Al-Baqarah. And above all, He gave you lucidity of the heart. This inner light that recognizes the false even if it shines. This voice that tells you, do not sell your soul for the promise of relief. For true healing belongs to Allah alone. So today, close the doors. Stop giving your name, your things, your dreams, or your free will to those who promise you the impossible. Return to your Lord, and you will see. He will send down upon you a peace that no one will be able to manipulate. Like this video, if it resonated with you, share it with someone you want to protect. And tell in comment, what questions have you ever been asked? Have you ever felt like someone was trying to influence you spiritually? Your testimony can open the eyes of a brother, a sister, or even save a life. And if you want more profound reminders like this, subscribe. Spiritual warfare never ends, but you are not alone.